Welcome back to our weekly Damon Floyd Coaches Show here on Talk 101.3 The Buzz, where our interviews are always brought to you by L&B Appliance out there on Durkee Road. We appreciate Josh Taylor and his staff and all that they do for Bradley Central High School. Coach, we begin region play this week, our 2-6-8 opener, first of the year for the region against Cleveland High School, an old rival. One of our, besides McMinn, probably our longest running rival. We play on a consistent basis there. Friday night, in spite of 5 turnovers on offense, 123 yards and penalties, it was still a great win for the Bears. While an emotional game on both sides, we knew it would be that way, expected to be that way. The old saying, an ugly win's better than a pretty loss. But your thoughts on Friday night's game, I guess?
Yeah, you know, I talked to Kent Smith about that Saturday, and he said never apologize for a loss because it just didn't necessarily feel like that just as bad as we played. Very, very happy with obviously getting a win, and you know, happy for our kids and them continuing to fight. And you know, Jairus Rogers had a quote in the paper the next day, and it was, you know, we knew we still had time on the clock, and we're family, and we stick together, and we trust each other. And really, in the end, I mean, you want to win, but that's what it's all about, is those guys understanding and working hard. Everybody trying to achieve a goal. Anytime you get a win, it's nice, but we have got a lot to clean up. You know, and really, the old saying goes, you've improved the most from your first and second game. Obviously, it was our second game, but our first game, we didn't get a full game. Hopefully, that's the case. I really would like to play one more game before we play Cleveland, if I'm being honest, but it's here. It is what it is. There are no excuses, and we've got a lot to clean up before we play.
I'm glad you mentioned Jairus Rogers because he has really come on strong for the Bears in receiving. He's one of the most dependable receivers, it seems like. Kick returning, he had one bobble there against Brainerd, but boy, he can flat move and get down the field. Follows his blockers. We had some really good blocking schemes, I thought, on returns the other night.
Yeah, other than God-given ability that Jairus has, he just plays.
Yeah.
He doesn't think about anything, and that's the way we want all of our guys to be. Once you get out there, you know, in practice you got to think, but in a game, just go play, and that's what he does. And he's very elusive and has a lot of skills, so obviously we're excited that he ended up coming out last year. You know, we got him out late last year, ended up playing at the end of the year because of some injuries. Didn't really know what he was doing. And had to play secondary, you know, in the playoffs. But yeah, we're fortunate to have Jairus and his skill set.
He really seems to know what he's doing right now. One of the things that I mentioned on the radio and after the game, during the game, I guess too, late in the game, we were down by 9, and I looked to the sidelines, and you know, your thought is, man, 9 down, we got 9 minutes to go. We had maybe one timeout left at that point. Two at that time, and the other sideline was celebrating like they'd won the game, and I'm thinking, I told Earl, I said, man, there's still 9 minutes in the game. I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But I didn't see any sense of panic on your side. But I'm sure, like all of us, your stomach was rolling inside, and you're just nervous and anxious, of course, anxious. But you've always said, don't ever quit playing. If you have a bad play, forget it, move on to the next play. And that seemed to work out perfectly there Friday night as we came back. And that 87-yard drive, I guess, when we took it down and scored, pulled within 2, was down to 1 timeout, and I think you burned that last timeout to stop the clock there somewhere pretty quickly. So we had 4 minutes or something to go, and I told her, I said, we're setting this up for a winning score, and I didn't know it'd be a touchdown or field goal, but was it by design that you wanted to run down the field, eat the clock up, and score late like you did, and so they wouldn't have any time left? Or was you planning on kicking a field goal? I know you'd go for the touchdown, but...
Well, so we did have 2 timeouts when we had the 87-yard drive after we scored.
Okay.
Obviously, we knew that with the time left on the clock, they'd probably be a little bit more prevent. They weren't necessarily prevent on the second to last drive, but they backed up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we knew we weren't going to be able to get over the top of them, so we had to be a little bit patient. And if you don't score the first one, you got a chance on the second one. So fortunately, you know, we were able to score the first one, and then after we kicked off, we did still have 2 timeouts.
Okay.
We knew they were going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So, you know, you kind of selling out to that, and we had a big tackle for a loss, mm-hmm. and then I think they had a penalty. Yeah. But anyway, once we got the ball back, we knew we had good field position because it was at the 50. Once again, knew we couldn't really take any shots unless we got a certain look, and we never got the certain look. We actually had a play drawn up where we had a trick play. They did a really good job of covering it, and Demarius tucked it and ran. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 3rd and 8, and he got us to 4th and 1, which we barely picked up the 4th and 1. Jackson, you know, kept his feet moving. Offensive line got a little bit of push, but it was close. And but Jackson got over the line for that. And then once we got around the 20, our goal was let's just get to the 20, and I think we ended up getting to the 15, and then we knew that we were in field goal range once we were at the 20. And then we tried to eat a little bit of clock, and then kick it right there or kill it right there at the end, and then. I really would have liked to have no time on the clock so we didn't have to kick off, because that was really panicking. But because it's like that, if they return this here, man. But once again, man, our kids there was panic. There was panic totally on my part, because. But at that time it's like, look, we're behind. I mean, we're going to lose if something doesn't happen, and you want to win, but let's just let it all hang out. But I thought our kids kept their composure for sure.
I really did too there, and that offensive line. I want to mention Luke Keith, who starters: Luke Keith, Eugene Peterson, Bryson Bivens, Jacob Page, Brody Morgan, have played well. And you've had to replace 3 starters from last year that graduated, and they've played well. I don't think Alex was flushed out of the pocket a single time all night. I know he wasn't sacked. And they've done extremely well, I thought. And all their backups are freshmen except for one. So.
Yeah, and Josh Leak, he's like a starter because he rotates in there with those 5. But so far, they've done some good things. I mean, you go back and watch film. Now, Walker Valley had a lot to do with that. They're doing a lot of stunting and slanting, and it's hard. It's hard when you have a lot of experience to pick up some of that stuff. And then you got Eli Denton sitting in the middle, who they're trying to keep clean, and he's a heck of a ball player. So
yes, he is.
I think our offensive line played okay. They know they got to get better. We had way too many missed assignments, but. It's part of it, but I did think when it came crunch time, they played okay. Yeah. They played well enough to win the game, obviously. So
well, and Jackson Wilson, we've got to talk about him, and Jay Allen Terry. I had Wilson for 26 carries, 110 yards, touchdown. Jay Allen had 115 yards and a touchdown on 19 carries. Jackson had a leg injury of some sort, came out and sat out for a while there, and I've talked to him, and he talked to you, and you said, hey, put me in, coach, and he went in there. I think Earl had for 17 of 18 straight running plays. But Jay Allen Terry, I'm telling you, the guy came to play when he needed to be out there for Jackson. He was a workhorse. He is hard to bring down just like Jackson is. And you got 2 really, really good running backs there that's hard to – and you can keep them fresh that way too. So
yeah, and I've said this, and Jackson and Jay know, they're for each other. They're going to block for each other, and they want each other to have success, because if we're being honest, and anybody that watches us play knows that's the 2 that's going to carry us. Mm-hmm. And we kind of want to split their carries. I think you said 26 and 19, mm-hmm. and then we get Jay Allen a little bit the ball in the perimeter on passing game too. So those guys, we want them to be about even of touching the ball, because obviously they make things happen. So we're very fortunate again to have them 2 guys. If one of them can't go for a little bit, the other one can, and vice versa. So. I think our offensive line does deserve some credit on that too, though. We had 2 backs that rushed for over 100 yards. Some of that they're creating on their own after contact, but a lot of that too it was tough yards, though. I will say that.
Yeah,
Walker Valley, they sold out to stop the run, and they had the safeties down in the box. So sometimes we were outnumbered, and we were still getting some positive yards. Every yard's not going to be a 50-yard game, but we were getting Jay Allen and Jackson were getting those tough 3, 4, 5-yard runs, which is what keeps the chains moving. So proud of them for their effort, for sure.
They got them when we really, really, really had to have. Be remiss, we didn't talk about the defense some. Knox Watson had 15 total hits and a tackle for loss. Gage Anderson, Rodney Williams, Don Jones all had sacks. We held them to 225 total yards for the game, and that's, you hold somebody at 225 yards, you think, we got a really good shot. We're probably going to win this game if you can do that. But the sacks, I think we had 4 of them Friday night. To me, on defense, that's probably one of the most uplifting, emotional things you can have, because, boy, it gets the sidelines fired up, it gets the fans fired up, it gets the defense fired up out there, and because you have stopped them, they've lost it down, and they've lost yardage on the same play.
Well, it's huge.
That's huge.
It's huge. The way you have to call defense. If you're in 3rd and 5 or less, that's tough to call and tough to execute. And then when you get them in long yardage situations, it's huge. The frustrating thing is the long yardage touchdown passes we giving up.
Yeah.
The first one was a 3rd and 13. Like we should understand that as a defense, and we talk about a lot is down and distance. So we shouldn't be very aggressive. We were aggressive, and in the end we didn't make the sack. And we had 2 guys in the backfield, and their quarterback did a really good job of scrambling and really throwing a dart. I mean, corner of the end zone, it was right at pin. Number 2's a heck of a receiver. Like, he's got really good hands, and so you gave them credit, but we got to understand game situation. And I thought we'd be better at that this year. And the Gibson kid that caught the one-handed touchdown, great catch.
Yep.
But it's another busted coverage when. And I coached the secondary, so maybe it's my fault. I got to do a better job because we didn't understand down and distance. But we gave up three touchdown passes, and so that's frustrating.
Well, and before we go to break, one final thing. I got to ask you about this. It's 4th and 21 on your 24-yard line. You're in the first quarter. Nobody scored yet. And Jackson Wilson's back to punt. We've seen him throw the ball out of that punt formation before, last year a couple of times, and successfully do that. And Earl and I were on the radio, and somebody said, is he going to fake it? I said, there's no way he'll fake this one. And Earl said, no, he would never fake it here. Well, lo and behold, the fake comes up, and you told us on the radio it wasn't really the way it was designed to happen, but, hey.
It wasn't drawn up. We did call the fake. Looking back, I remember watching film Saturday and go, man, that's a stupid call. So over the years, we've been in games and maybe came out on the short end, and I've always told myself, like, if we make a plan and if we got the certain look we got, and we did, then we're going to go for it. And, I just don't want to – we're not going to be afraid of failure.
Right.
We're going to go out there and try to win a ball game, and we're going to try to execute it. So it was a stupid call on my part.
It worked out.
It worked out because we have good players. But yeah, it was not the way it drawn up. I was actually signaling in a different call that I was thinking the call was we were calling. The fake I wanted, I just had the wrong call. And so luckily Garrett Payne's beside me. He's like, that's not the call. So he made the correct one, but it did get transferred all the way to all the players. So one of them didn't know. I'm not going to give it away because the design's still there for a future game. But fortunately it worked out because it ended up being huge, obviously. And anytime you got the ball in Jackson's hand and then he gets it in Marcus's hand, then probably good things are going to happen.
And the good things happened on that play there. We'll take a break here on Talk 101.3 The Bug, where our Coach's Show is brought to you every week by L&B Appliance. Back in just a moment. Well, Coach, back here talking about this week's upcoming game with Cleveland High School. I mean, what else is there to say? We've played them, I think, 47 times. They have us at 20 to 27 edge in favor of Cleveland. We've won the last 7 in a row, though. They're our biggest rival. And something else I want to ask you about. We had a huge crowd there Friday night, and I know you guys noticed that. You hear it. I mean, it's deafening at times. We're going to have the same thing Friday night when Cleveland comes rolling here with all their fans and their band and all that stuff. And that has really got to be uplifting to you and the team and all your guys and us, everybody, when you see a crowd like that, and boy, you know they're all behind you there.
Well, it's awesome. And that's the first thing I do. I did it as a player. I do it as a coach. When you walk out, you look in the stands. You see how many people's here. I mean, not that you're counting, but it's like you want to play in a good environment. That's an unbelievable environment for both teams to be able to play in a high school. There's a lot of colleges that don't get that kind of crowd.
You're right.
The big ones obviously do, but there's there's Division I schools that don't get that kind of crowd, and it's awesome for this community, our kids to get to play in. It's awesome to get to coach in. So when you walk out and the stands are filled like that, it gives you a little extra boost. And now it's more pressure. Now when the game's kicked off, I don't know if you really think about it. I mean, there is times during the game, and I'm wearing a headset, that you do hear the crowd. You know, if it's third down, the bands are playing, and so, you know, sometimes like I can't hear. But man, it's an awesome environment, and I know our kids and our players, I'm sure Walker Valley's did too, they love they love to play in front of that crowd, because it does add it's just a cool high school experience.
Yeah, it really, really is. Well, Friday night, Coach Marty Wheeler, he's been in his 4th year there, and he's not a rookie. He's taken teams to the state championship finals at his previous school out in Covington in West Tennessee. He's going to be ready. He's going to have his team ready, and you're going to be expected to do the same thing there. And for the seniors that are on the team, they've never lost to Cleveland High School. I know if you talk to seniors, they want to keep that streak going.
Whew, I hate him bringing him up to him because really, I mean, it doesn't matter what's happened to this point. It's all a new year. I hope our kids don't think, well, just because we beat them that we're going to beat them again, because that's not the case. I mean, you turn on the film, they're a physical football team. They're running the football hard. They got two really good backs in Isaiah Davis and Brian Beard. They're good up front. They've got linemen that are big, physical kids on both sides. They've got athletes in the perimeter on offense and defense. Their linebackers are tough, hard-nosed kids. They're a good team.
Sounds like we don't have a chance.
They're a good team. Well, you know, everybody talks about the Red Bank loss, but they turned it over 5 times.
Yeah.
Well, so Red Bank's a top team in the state. We turned it over 5 times last week. So, I mean, obviously, once again, the game's going to come down to turnovers and penalties. But I will say this, if we turn over 5 times, we will not have a chance to kick a field goal at the end. Like, they're too explosive, they're too hard-nosed, they're too physical. So our kids need to focus on the game plan this year and go out and execute it, because if not, Cleveland has talent. And you know, they're hard-nosed, physical group. So
are they going to try to get everybody in the box and stop the run game again like Walker was trying to do the other night?
I would imagine. I mean, with Jay and Jackson and Alex, you know, having the turnovers he had last week, being a first-year starting quarterback, they'd be crazy not to. They know that. Everybody's going to try to stop Jay and Jackson. We've got to hit some shots on them to loosen people up. And on film, other teams need to see us doing that where they can't load the box. But, yeah, they're going to load the box. But Jay Allen and Jackson are going to have to get some tough yards. They're going to have to break some tackles. We can't block all of them. There's always an extra fitter.
Right.
And that's up to the back to make somebody miss. And that's what the great ones do. They make them miss or they run through an arm tackle. And it is what it is. We're going to try to do the same to them.
One final thing before we end our interview here. We had a big win on Monday night over Walker Valley's JV team. Kobe Dills and the guys. The defense, I think, was lights out.
Yep.
Gave up one play there at the very end. Otherwise, it's a shutout. But he's doing a great job with those guys. And you got a big bunch of young guys that's coming up, and that bodes well for the future for you.
Yeah, you know, we already talked about the freshman offensive linemen. Those 5 of those guys that we feel really, really, really good about. We may actually move. Well, actually, we have 6. I'm sorry. We may move a couple of those to defense next year that I think have a chance to start for us on defensive line. We got some skill guys that's going to be good. They need to mature a little bit. But we also have some secondary guys that they just can't get on the field on Friday nights right now. It's a sophomore group, our secondary and JV. But they can't get on the field right now because of the talent ahead of them. They're good players. And I wouldn't have any problem with them having to play some on Friday, but their time will come. And Kobe Dills does a great job with the JV. He takes it very serious, as he should, and they put a lot of time and effort in too. So I'm happy to see them get the reward of getting a win. It
was a good, exciting win on Monday night. 26-6 the final score there. We're going to wrap things up here for this week's interview with Coach Damon Floyd here on Talk 101.3 The Buzz, where they're always brought to you by L&B Appliance out there on Dirty Road, where they're small enough to serve you, but large enough to serve you, but small enough to appreciate your business there. I'd like to thank Mr. Gwen Schroeder and his class here at Brighton Central High School, Studio 812, for the continued production of our shows here each week. Join us at 5:30 for a pregame, 7 o'clock for kickoff from Bear Stadium as we have our 3rd straight home game, but this will be our region opener in Region 2-6A, and it'll be our old rival Cleveland High School. Come out and join the fun. We have the left field lounge open again at 5 o'clock. Great food from Travis Adams, so there's a lot of excitement. Another huge crowd expected Friday night, and we look to see you there as well. Join us on Talk 101.3 The Buzz. This is Gary Olmec with Damon Floyd saying so long for now. God bless, and go Bears.